right, y'all, welcome to one of my favorite happy places. Being out in the forest, out in the woods, in nature. We're going into that season, or we're in that season now, where Earth is starting to come alive. And this is a golden opportunity of sorts, not just for me personally, but for all of us who are exposed to this kind of blossoming of nature. But in any case, big shout out to everybody who's been following me on Tribe by Noir, those of you who've been tuning in consistently on a weekly basis, soaking in the information, making the life changes you need to make. For those of you who are new, this is Tribe by Noir. I am Remsen Noir, head coach at Tribe by Noir. And everything that I do here, everything that I discuss, is all about deploying nutrition, training, and mindset techniques and strategies in order to achieve peak health, to live the life you really truly want to live and be in the body that allows you to do that. Whatever reaching peak health looks like for you. I'm here to provide the support and everything that I've learned in order to help you get there. This is what this is all about. I wanted to take some time out real quick to let y'all know that Tribe by Noir 3.0 has launched. This is the latest iteration with all the improvements, taking things on the platform to the next level. Not only do I provide training, diet plans, coaching calls, one-on-one coaching support, group coaching support, and all that, but I'm also offering community. Now, I do live streams for the public on a weekly basis, but that's not the only one. I also do member exclusive live streams. We go over meal planning. We get deep into training technique, how to maximize your training to get the goals that you want, right? We get pretty granular in those kind of streams. And it's a live call-in, right? So you can get on the voice chat, ask questions. We do a Q&A and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of support and camaraderie and valuable information that you can use from day one. So if that's something that you're interested in getting into, you want to take it to the next level, you want to get deeper into Tribe by Noir, well, I left a link in the description of this video for you to go and tap in and get started. Now, you can sign up and become a community member. You can sign up for coaching, and you can sign up for coaching with your own personal diet and training plans, as well as weekly one-on-one coaching calls with me personally. All right. So definitely take some time to check that out. And moving forward, we're going to get into the upcoming live stream. All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to the Monday Night Raw. You know how we do every Monday night. What's going on, y'all? Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me clearly. How's everybody doing? Sound in? Sound on? You know what I'm saying? Chime in. What's going on, Miss D? All right, what'd you say? Muscle loss, not what I'm trying to gain. Yeah, we're going to get into it tonight. All right, we're going to talk about, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about my personal experience. I've found like a healthy balance where there's a lot of technicalities, technical information. There's a fair bit of complication in the process or the journey to achieving peak health, but you can simplify things a great bit, right? So I'm going to actually work on doing that a little bit tonight. Right. You know, my primary thing is the alternate day fasting, right? Where you're either doing like 24 or 36-hour fasts, something like this, right? I think like if you really want to get into a fully effective fast, that should at least be like around 24 hours, right? Or at least in my experience from what I've seen. And, you know, fasting is one of the key things that you need to really optimize your life for longevity, hormonal balance, metabolism, and all of this kind of stuff, right? So we have to talk about basically stress management, right? Poor stress management leads to muscle loss. Good stress management leads to muscle gain. It's really what it's about because your body will always build muscle given the right circumstances. So there's two things that we primarily want to do, right? We primarily want to either gain muscle mass or maintain the muscle mass that we have. And we got to be clear where you can lose muscle volume, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you've lost actual muscle tissue. All right, so we got to talk about that as well. And knowing the difference, right? So I'm gonna give y'all some numbers or an example of that to show to paint a picture of what I'm talking about with that. I'm gonna do my best to keep it tight tonight. I'm not gonna keep y'all up all night, right? Because y'all be up here with these long streams, hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, 2 hours, 10 minutes, all this. I'm gonna try to exercise some discipline tonight, right? Because I have a real nasty habit of not going to bed at a decent time. All right. So I'll start here. Muscle mass doesn't really take, it doesn't take a whole lot to maintain your muscle mass, right? Muscle mass is not a thing you just lose it real easily. It's not really how it works. If you do a 24-hour fast, you're not really going to lose any muscle mass, really. You might lose like muscle volume. And I'm making the distinction between muscle volume and muscle mass because muscle volume is the size of the muscle and the muscle mass is basically the actual density or the muscle fibers that's there. You can have muscle fibers and your muscle fibers can be fuller or not so full, kind of depleted. It doesn't mean necessarily that you've lost those muscle fibers. A good example of this is when I'm really disciplined in doing like 36-hour fasts, and I do 36-hour fasts like 2-3 times a week, right? And I could be really consistent. And I could drop from like a whole 160 pounds to like 145 pounds. And maintain that 145 pounds and get there within like 3 weeks, right? If I really drag it out and I eat really in abundance, to intentionally slow down the process, I get there in 6 weeks, right? It happens real quick. I can get to 145 pounds and be 5'9", 145 pounds. Be real lean, but real light. And, you know, I get a little nervous when I drop below 150 pounds. It's a thing. Like I got to hang up. It's like a hang up I got, you know. So I, you know, when I get below 150 on the scale, I start eating. Right, I start getting carried away. But basically, I can get to 145 pounds on the scale. And then I'm like, okay, let me stop with the alternate day fasting. I'm going to eat every day. Within like 3 to 4 days, I can go from 145 pounds to 155, 156 pounds. Within like 3 days. Right? However, my body fat percentage would stay the same. So this is one of those things where it's like, well, how do you gain back weight so rapidly, but your body fat percentage stays the same? And the primary reason why is because there's a hierarchy. Your body will prioritize filling muscle glycogen. The interesting thing, though, is your body will also prioritize fat mass, but it depends, right? Or should I say fat storage, but it depends. If you do a fast that is very long, you do a fast that's like, you know, 3 days, 7 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 21 days, 14 days. You do these long fasts. That would actually open you up to gaining more fat mass. Right? So that's a little caveat to know. You can lose fat mass really quick during that, but you can also gain it back real quick. You put your body on edge. So think about like, and I bring it back to economics and personal finance. Money can be real tight 1 week, right? But that's not really going to shift your spending habits a whole lot the next week when you get more money. However, if you go like a whole month with money real short, or you go several months, maybe even a whole year with money real short, when you get new money, you're gonna be a little stingy. You're not gonna really spend like you used to, because there's that fear of like, oh, I don't ever want to be broke like that again. That was rough, right? So basically the duration that you set. And the thing too is that the longer you do the fast is diminishing returns. So it becomes less beneficial the longer you do it. People argue with me with that. They say, well, you know, I did a 7-day fast and I was able to clear up all type of issues. I had rashes and all types of stuff. I had gut health issues and I had an infection. I had this, that, whoop, whoop, whoop. I did a 7-day fast and it cleared all of it up. Congratulations. If you do it again, well, it's not going to have the same results as it did the first time. It works really well the first time, but each time you do it after that, it's not going to work as well. Diminishing returns. But that doesn't really speak for the people who do the 7-day fast or who do the 14-day fast, and they lose more than they cared to. They lose more hair than they had wanted to. You know, they may come back with some issues where, you know, they have some gut health issues. Their skin may deteriorate, right? They may notice some thin skinning, right? The skin may not be as youthful as it was, right? There could be a variety of different issues. You can wreck your thyroid, right? I've had people that wreck their adrenals and thyroid when they did a really long, prolonged fast. So they actually came out on the other side of it with issues, health issues that they didn't even have before. Fasting can be beneficial. It depends on how you do it, and it depends on how long you do it. This is why I don't get on the internet and tell everybody, you need to do really long fasts if you have health issues. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It works sometimes. It don't work all the time. Depends on how you do it. And it's hard. It's real hard. The longer you do it, the harder it's going to get. And it'll make you nervous the longer you do it. Right? You get deep into that fast, them lips start peeling, you start getting ashy. Right? White folks may not really know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about ashiness. But us as melanated people, we don't want to be ashy. That's the last thing. We be a lot of things going on in our lives. We don't want to be ashy. Black folks, we be like, we'd rather be fat than ashy. Can't be leaving out the house ashy. Right? Sometimes to myself, I like to refer to behavior I don't like as ashy behavior. Right? When people be cutting up outside in the street and I'm like, y'all just out here acting ashy. Y'all just out here being ashy. Folks be running around here like a pair of ashy knees, just being ashy. All right, so let me be serious. Typically, you know, with a fast, I like to do it in a safe and controlled way because I'm big on food, right? I have two perspectives when it comes to nutrition. Y'all never hear me talk about cutting calories. I don't never talk about cutting calories. I don't ever advise people to reduce their food intake. I don't do that. For me, you do two things. Either you eat very well, where you're very well fed, eating in abundance, or you ain't eating at all. Right? It's both ends of the spectrum. And the reason why is because when you understand how your hormones work, there are hormones that you want to upregulate and hormones that you want to downregulate, right? More or less. So what are the hormones typically that you want to turn up, right? IGF-1, right? Which is insulin-like growth factor. Basically growth hormone helping to rejuvenate your body, build muscle, denser bones, reinforcing and healing your nervous system, etc. Right? Brain-derived neurotrophic factor, right? Increases neuroplasticity, your ability to learn, improves your body's ability and nervous system to handle stress, right? Improves memory, cognition, increases your ability to behave rationally, to maintain an even keel as far as your behavior, right? Helps to reduce things like anxiety and depression and makes you more resistant to the woes of stress, right? Makes you more resilient. A bad night's sleep don't ruin your life, right? Make this type of thing. We want to upregulate insulin sensitivity, right? The more insulin sensitive you are, the better your body is at using glucose for energy and managing a healthy blood sugar level, right? Insulin sensitivity, when you're more insulin sensitive, you have a fasted blood sugar in the low 80s or something like this, mid 80s. When you're insulin resistant, your blood sugar is somewhere hovering above 100, like 120, 130, 140, all of these crazy numbers and above. Right? So as you become more insulin sensitive, your blood sugar numbers drop, your blood pressure comes down, your ability to burn body fat increases, your ability to build muscle increases, right? Your brain chemistry increases. You maintain your motivation and mental focus more. You have a stronger attention span, right? When you're insulin resistant, it's very difficult to pay attention for extended periods of time. It really eats into your ability to focus and really pay attention. You just wander, right? You could be reading something and then all the words just collide into each other, and it's just like, all right, that's I want to do something else, anything else. I just want to do something else, right? You want to reduce myostatin, right? Which is basically a protein that your body makes to inhibit muscle growth or slow down muscle growth, right? In order to be able to handle a stressful environment more, where your muscle is not sucking up all your body's resources that you need in order to maintain brain chemistry, in order to be able to sleep at night, this type of thing. Because your body will sacrifice muscle in order to go to sleep. Your body prioritizes glucose, and if you need that glucose and that fat metabolism isn't happening the way that it should, your body will start eating up muscle too. And that's all predicated on how much stress your body's dealing with at a time. Mental stress, physical stress, emotional stress, mechanical stress, right? Any kind of stress, it all goes in the stress bucket. Your body don't make a difference between the different types of stress. All the stress goes in the stress bucket. It don't matter. You get bad news, it eat into your body's resources. You get bad news, it raise your blood pressure, raise your blood sugar, right? You get bad news as a man, it'll lower your testosterone, raise your estrogen. You know, you'll be a man, okay? If you have like a wife or a girlfriend or a daughter or something like that, and she start crying, it'll ruin your whole night's sleep. You can't sleep. Stress ain't no joke, ain't nothing to play with, right? What about mono fasting? I'll get into that. You're talking about basically mono fruits, like a food fast. A food fast is a bit different thing. I can get into that. So, what are some other things? We want to improve thyroid hormone output. Kinda. There's a caveat to that. Like you want to raise TSH just into like an ideal level, not too high, because you can have too much TSH and that would lead to a significant in T4. And if your body is not converting T4 to T3 optimally, you can get excess T4 and low T3 output, and that's a thyroid disorder. So you don't necessarily want that. So I would say to focus more so on increasing active thyroid hormone, which is that T3, right? We want to raise free testosterone, not necessarily total testosterone. I had to clarify, because you can raise total testosterone, but if you have high levels of aromatization in your body, which is the process where your body converts testosterone into estrogen, well, if you increase your total testosterone, but you don't really address the high aromatase, well, then it also by proxy will increase estrogen. right? Or like my Australian friends say, estrogen. So you don't want that. But typically when you raise free testosterone, you can have a healthy testosterone level and just increase free testosterone. And to increase free testosterone, basically you would have to reduce sex binding hormone globulin, right? SBHG, right? SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin, right? SHBG. All of this is predicated on stress. And so basically when I'm talking about fasting, this is the setup from when I talk about fasting and muscle. Because fasting is actually a setup for muscle growth more so than a setup for muscle loss. You can lose muscle during a fast, but it's highly unlikely. And I'll explain why. There's a few hormones that we want to reduce. As a man, we want to reduce estrogen. As a woman, we don't necessarily want to reduce estrogen as much as we want to increase testosterone, but balance estrogen and progesterone. So typically as a woman, one of the best things that you can do is actually reduce stress to increase progesterone balance, right? So once you bring the stress down, that regulates estrogen because estrogen is a stress hormone. So as your stress goes up, your estrogen goes up and your progesterone goes down. So it creates this imbalance, right? And then if your progesterone is too low, your estrogen just really starts maxing out. And as your estrogen increases, this signals to your liver. Your liver starts producing things like thyroxine binding globulin, right? And basically, thyroxine binding globulin reduces T3 hormone, right? Your active thyroid hormone. And if that happens, that basically inhibits your body's ability or reduces your body's ability to use food as energy. So you're eating carbs and fats, and it's very difficult to use the carbs and fats for energy. So you feel tired, kind of exhausted, and you're just gaining weight all over the place. And your blood sugar is always real high, right? Again, going back to stress. I'm going all day about the different hormonal processes of how stress affects your body. So now when we talk about fasting and why the dosage of the fasting is so important, the reason why is, fasting is one of those things where it's very individualized because some people do very well with a 3-day rolling fast followed by 4 days of eating and then back to a 3-day rolling fast, right? You can do a 3-day fast once a month. You can do a 3-day fast 2 times a month. All right? If you do a 3-day fast once a month, it depends on how much weight you have to lose. It depends on why you're doing it. And that's a bit more of an advanced thing. I'll get into that another time, but I'm going to talk about my ideal, which is the alternate day. You're either doing 24 to 36 hours every other day or once or twice a week. So it's either, well, basically around 2-3 times a week. However, it depends on why you're doing it. If you are, and it depends on why you're doing the fasting, but if we're talking about muscle loss, if you're concerned with muscle loss, the question is why, right? Because if your stress levels are going unchecked, you're not resolving your stress issues, you're more likely to lose muscle mass eating every day as opposed to fasting. So for a lot of you, you may have to fast. You don't have another choice because the eating every day is not cutting it. Because muscle growth doesn't really depend on how much you eat. It's more so depends on what you eat. And it depends on when you eat. Right? It's different. It's not how much necessarily. How much matters, but not as much as people think. So let's say you've been eating every day and your liver glycogen is always full. You have a congested liver, right? Low stomach acid, low bile production, maybe like acid reflux. You've got some deficiencies, vitamin D deficiency, magnesium deficiency, insulin resistance, fatty liver, these types of things. You have issues like this. If you have issues like that, you want to resolve these types of issues as fast as possible, fasting is going to be one of the top ways to do it. Right, so you're doing those 24 to 36 hour fasts several times a week. And if you do that, fasting is a stressor, that's true, but fasting is a short-term stressor that over time compounds, leading to long-term gains, improvements, right? Fasting is a thing. It's kind of like people would treat snake bites with venom. Right? Like a small dosage of venom can actually act as a medicine. Right? Even like a vaccine. A vaccine is basically a small dosage of that actual virus. If you give a small enough dosage of that actual virus, an inactive form of it, your body's immune system learns it, learns how to combat it and identify it and treat it as so. And therefore, you don't really get the manifestation of the infections. It doesn't replicate in your body and all of this type of stuff because you have an exposure to it. Fasting is a way to train and challenge your metabolism and put some pressure or stress on your metabolism, enough to force it to adapt and improve in a variety of different ways. Fasting is a way to bring the temperature down. Here's what's very important to understand about eating. Every time you eat, you produce waste. If you have a fatty liver, if your kidneys are struggling, you have waste buildup in your colon, etc. Eating all the time is creating more waste, more metabolites, is producing more acid, is producing more free radicals, reactive oxygen species, right? Creating more ages, all these different types of things. It's wearing your body down over time. When you fast, you cut off the inflows and your body's able to flush things out and get rid of things. Of course, you'd need to provide your body with some assistance, which I'll get into. The bare minimum effective fast is 12 hours. It needs to at least be 12 hours, really, technically, at least 16. But 12 hours is where your body really just starts shifting into a fasted state. Then the second 12 hours brings you to a full 24. And this is where you start leveraging autophagy. So basically, your body goes into sanitation mode. Your body starts taking out the trash, right? Autophagy, basically meaning self-eating, right? Autophagy, right? Self-eating, right? Think of like autobiography, right? Same thing, concept. Auto meaning self. Phagy, it's a breakdown and consumption. Right? So you're able to get rid of waste and really break it down. Your body prioritizes recycling things, right? Your body engages in like a form of composting, kind of, right? Becomes more better at managing resources. So once all that digestive pressure comes down, your body's better at clearing out acid and things like that. Granted, you're staying hydrated and all this type of stuff. If you're going to do a dry fast, it's going to be for a much shorter period of time because a dry fast is a lot more risky and it's a lot more brutal on your body. It's a much bigger stressor, so you should do it for a shorter period of time. However, I don't advise it because it's a bit risky and I'm all about risk reduction, right? Risk management, right? Because we're in the process of healing. So your body gets into autophagy. Your body starts really dropping body fat, starts really burning body fat for energy because after that 24 hours, pretty much all of your stored glycogen in your liver, that's long gone. Right? There's no more food left to digest. Your digestive tract is fully emptied out. Right? Your liver glycogen is empty. Your body's basically metabolizing fat for energy. Right? Muscle glycogen starts declining. As muscle glycogen starts declining, You get an increase in growth hormone. You get an increase in brain-derived neurotrophic factor, right? And all of these things work together to preserve your muscle mass. So your body starts responding. Let's maintain that bone density. Let's maintain the bone marrow saturation of minerals and resources. Let's maintain that skeletal muscle. And let's optimize fat metabolism so we can convert that fat into glucose at a much faster rate to continuously feed your vital organs as well as your muscle tissue to sustain things, right? Your body responds to short-term stress with an increase in growth hormone, an increase in testosterone, an increase in BDNF and things like this, right? And it's this dual-sided thing because fasting is very catabolic, right? Where things are breaking down. Things are becoming oxidized at an accelerated rate. But your body doesn't really prioritize maintaining and holding on to fat in the short term. It maintains and prioritizes holding on to lean mass in the short term. Long term, it's a bit different, right? The longer your fast goes, your body's more willing to actually sacrifice muscle mass as a result. Because resources are that rare. Resources are that scarce. So now muscle mass is actually more metabolically expensive. So your body's not really so willing to hold on to it because it can't. Right? There's no more nitrogen coming in. There's no more glucose coming in. There's not really enough minerals coming in. So your body's always trying to hold together these cells. But look, you need resources to hold these resources. In order to hold this stuff together. And your body's not really going to be willing to start leaching out resources from your bone marrow and your other lean organ tissues and things like that to start feeding skeletal muscle, right? Because that's a threat to your life. This is why I don't really advocate that people do like these really long-term fasts. It's very damaging. But 24, 36 hours, oh yeah. Sweet spot, very beneficial. You can do like a full 24 to 36 hour fast. And then when you start eating again, your body is more primed to gain and increase muscle mass from the days that you eat because your body's hyper responsive to resources. So you can actually gain muscle mass doing alternate day fasting. This was an experience of mine. The benefits during fasting really, really accelerate when you break the fast, you start eating again. So if you ask, hey, will I really lose muscle during a fast? It depends on how long it is, right? Just to answer that question. The longer the fast is, if it goes past like 3 days, you're more likely to start dropping muscle mass. Not really to a significant degree, but it can be noticeable the longer the fast becomes. 7 days, yeah, it'll start to be more noticeable. 14 days, you do a 14-day fast, yeah, you'll really start noticing some muscle loss. Weakness, maybe some tremors, things like this. It'll get hard, right? But 24, 36 hours, no. However, the fasting increases your body's ability to gain muscle mass because your ability to gain muscle mass depends on how much stress your body's dealing with at a time. So if you use the fast to bring down stress, this increases your body's ability to build muscle mass. I don't care how much protein you eat. I don't care how many carbs you eat. I don't care if you're doing 10 sets, 16 sets per muscle group, 20 sets per muscle group. You're training 6 days a week. You're putting in all of this hard work. I don't care. You could be doing all of that and not really gain anything, which is the case of a lot of people. They're like, man, I'm beat up. I'm sore. I'm tired. I'm sick of going to the gym, but I'm going to continue to go because I'm determined to get these gains. And then get frustrated over time because like, I'm not seeing any progress. I feel like for the amount of work that I'm doing, I should be seeing a lot more progress than I'm seeing. And this is wearing me out. And I'm like, well, what you just said is what your body has been feeling for the last several weeks of you slaving yourself with these workouts. It's just a tremendous amount of stress. Your body been on this. Like, look, I'm not building no muscle mass with all this goddamn stress. You need to calm down. Right? Your body will be like, you know what? It's time to sit down. We're not going to the gym today. All of this working out, carrying on, doing it. That's it. Take this knee pain and sit your ass down. Right? Take that elbow pain and that shoulder pain and sit your ass down. Take this neck pain and that lower back pain and go sit down. Right? Yeah, all of this strict. You talk about eating some goddamn leafy greens. Eat them cookies and go sit your ass down. It becomes a fight. Your body starts revolting. All of this, you're going to cut my food intake, run me all ragged, bust up these muscles and do all of this. You're going to wear me out like that. And then talk about, oh, we doing this because we want to grow. I ain't growing a goddamn thing with all of this. Slaving me like this. Your body's like, I don't get paid enough to be doing this kind of work. All right? Think about like you go to work, your boss got you doing all kind of stuff. That's like, I remember I had a job. I was working at Burger King. That's right. I was a youngin' working at Burger King. Right? I didn't know what my job was. They had me on the damn cashier, on the cash register. I was dropping fries. I was flipping burgers. I was making the sandwiches. I was mopping the floors. I was cleaning the bathrooms. I was doing every goddamn thing in here. I'm like, do I own this place? Damn. They got me doing everything. How you gonna have me in here prepping food and then tell me to go clean up the bathroom? And then they got bold. They said, all right, we want you to go out in the parking lot and pull up them weeds. I said, you got me doing landscaping? I ain't doing that. I got crazy food allergies. I got crazy seasonal allergies. I ain't doing that. I told them I wasn't going to pick weeds in the parking lot. Because first of all, you're not going to tell me. I'm a whole black teenager. You're going to be telling me to go out in the parking lot and pull weeds. This is borderline cotton picking stuff. You're not going to have me doing that. And I was working in Burger King in a white neighborhood. You're not about to have me doing that. My ancestors would be frowning on me like crazy if I was to do that. I ain't going to do that. I got too much pride. I ain't doing that. You don't pay me enough to do that either. We ain't doing no humiliation rituals around here. Not for no damn Burger King. So they cut my hours by like 50%. Working a job in America, right? Learning young how it goes down. That's what molded me to be an entrepreneur today. They'd dog you out in the workplace. Yeah, right? Yeah, you remember that. I said, man, these people, they try to have me doing plantation work out here. I said, that's crazy. But imagine like you working your body, you slaving your body doing all of this work, and then you go cut your food intake. That's you trying to get your body to do plantation work. And your body respond like how I did. You gonna cut my hours? I quit. The hell with you in this damn job. And when you do that, and that's how you end up binging out on some cookies and skipping workouts. And then like a month later, you gain back all the body fat, and then just be like, man, I fell off the rails. I don't know what happened. You know what happened. You know. You had the staff quit on you. That's what happened. You was running them ragged and they quit. You cut their hours and they quit. I'm drinking ginger tea. So, with the fast, a fast is like taking a day off. Digestion is hard work. You know what you know what your body has to do during digestion? Your body gotta digestion. Let me tell you something. Digestion is work. Because your body, everything you eat, your body gotta It's got to turn it into a goop. It got to smash it down, melt it down, dissolve it up as much as possible. It's got to goop that stuff up. It's got to liquefy it as much as possible. You need all this stomach acid and enzymes and mash it up. And there's all this stuff that has to happen, right? And then your digestive tract and whatnot, it's got to do all this partitioning. We're going to take this and leave that. We're going to suck this up and keep that out and spit this out. And whoop, whoop, whoop. All this stuff, right? For hours, your body's just doing all this sorting. And you keep eating several times a day. Right? There's all this fiber and all of this protein and fats and causes separating all this, right? So your gut is basically just like a ton of Amazon workers. Just sorting mail and shipping and putting stickers and just whatever, right? So it's like, you just eating, having a good old time, your body doing all this work. You don't understand how much work your body does for digestion until you have gut health issues. That's when you come to find out how hard digestion is. Folks be with gut health issues and they're like, look, I'd rather lose a ton of weight and starve than eat because eating is painful. It is miserable. It's rough. You be having whole chunks of food coming out in the toilet. You go and eat a sweet potato fry. That thing come right out. You like, there's a sweet potato fry in the toilet when I got up. I said, unbelievable. My gut just quit. It didn't process none of this. So the fasting give your body a break, right? So you can get some ginger tea like this here. Right? You get some parsley tea, some basil tea, you get some lime water and lime juice. Right? Give the digestion a rest. Not for too long, because you do a fast for too long. Your body like reduce stomach acid, reduce bile production, reduce enzyme production, all of that. So when you go and eat again, you eat something a little heavy, a little too complex, you realize that digestion is a little rough when it get turned back on. Because you can't just ambush your gut with food after a real long fast out of nowhere. Right? You come back from a long fast, all hungry, and you just start smashing down on thickness, right? Complicated, thick, heavy food. And your gut would be like, oh, hell no. You gonna welcome me back with this? It's time for some bloating and gas. Bloating and gas. All right? Bloating and gas. Your whole torso will be like this. All right? So 24, 36 hours, it's a good sweet spot because you know, you can go and eat, so you got a little bit more leniency with what to eat. I'm not saying that you should abuse the leniency. I'm just saying you have it, right? Because people come to me all the time. They're like, yeah, man, I want to build muscle. I want to drop body fat. I got dreams. I got a dream body. I was like, but it's all, most of the effort is the setup, is creating the conditions. It's not like the work you do. Like, yeah, the work is important, but the setup. You gotta make sure things is in order. You have to have a good environment, right? Like, I don't like hospitals. I don't like hospitals. I don't like no hospitals. I ain't never been in a hospital and be like, oh, this place is nice. I've never been in a hospital. It's like that. I don't like hospitals. I don't like the smell. I don't like the colors. I don't like people's energy. I don't like it. I don't like it. If something happened to me, I got to go to the hospital. I'll die at home. I'm not good because I don't like it. That's just me personally. I don't like it. I'm stubborn. I die at home. I'm fine. It's my time. It's my time. Because I don't like it that much. It's bothered me. I've been like this my whole life. I do not like it. I don't like the energy. It's a bad environment. I'm particular about environment. I'm very particular about environment. People's energy, the energy of the place, the smell, all of it. I don't like it. Your body's the same way, right? Your energy got to be on point. Your environment got to be on point, right? So you got to clean up your place, clean up your room, make sure it smells nice. Okay? Don't be having all of these bright, crazy fluorescent lights all over the place. Loud, crazy TV shows, drama, Walking Dead, people eating and killing each other. Right? You sitting there watching your favorite TV show, people eating each other and carrying on, all of this violence, shooting each other in the face and all of this, and then be like, all right, time for bed. Don't do that. Mess the energy up before bed. Don't do that. Have some warm lights. Dim the lights down a few hours before bed. Have some herbal tea. Focus on the things that you're thankful for and appreciate and whatnot before you go to bed. That's the setup. Because the way that you go to bed and what you think before you go to bed and your mood and your energy before you bed, that's what you wake up with. Where you got to put, when people say protect your peace, that's real. And we know people, they come to you with all type of wild energy. It's just nasty. Right? They got all kind of stuff they want to tell you about all the stuff they don't like in their life. And they want to call you up and tell you right before bed. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? I just wanted to tell you about all the things I'm struggling with and all the things I don't like about my life right now. I want to make sure you know before you go to bed. Think about how you feel about that. Right? Because these are all the things to consider when you talk about like a fast and if it's gonna lose muscle and all. You don't got to worry about losing muscle from a fast. It's like 24, 36 hours. You're more likely to lose muscle mass because you don't sleep well, because you're picking up phone calls you shouldn't be picking up before night. You watching crazy TV shows before bed at night with all type of negative energy. You're going to bed too late. You're getting exposed to all crazy bright lights and noise and all of this type of stuff. Wild, crazy, frantic energy, right? You hanging around people who ain't got no goals. Their energy is all wild and unhealthy, and you taking that to bed. You're more likely to lose muscle mass from that, right? People want to argue late at night. They want to get into conflict resolution right before bed. Let's talk about the stuff I don't like now, right? You're more likely to lose muscle mass from that. You're more likely to lose muscle mass from, you wanted to eat, you wanted to get as much protein in your last meal at night before bed. So you just plowed through tons of protein. You wanted to eat all the meat and the eggs, right? And, you cooked up the greens, and the greens are overcooked, dark, oily, salty, right? Chicken breast, all of this, all kind of sodium and whatnot. You go to bed, right? And you take that gas and bloating and gas right to bed. To the point you got to lay on your back, and you lay on your back because your stomach is too full. And you bloated in gas, and you try to lie on your back, but then you can't breathe. You breathing all heavy, right, from that big old meal because you wanted to gain muscle mass. This is men who are guilty of doing this. You got men who do this. I need to get the protein in, right? So you eat this big heavy meal before bed at night, and then you lying on your back, struggling to breathe, your stomach all full and big and stretched out. Then you try to roll and put on your side. And I'm speaking from experience because I've done this, right? As a matter of fact, I've gone whole years doing this. It shaped who I am today. That's why I'm a side sleeper. I can't breathe lying flat on my back. I can now, but there was a point where I couldn't. I would fill up before bed. My whole midsection just be struggling. Right? My gut be doing overtime work. Right? OT. My gut was like overworked and underpaid factory workers. Just sorting and carrying on all bed at night. be in bed, full, sweating and breathing. And wake up tired. Right? Because you got to get the protein in. You got to get the carbs in. You got to eat big to get big. I got big. And I got big to the point where I was like 193 pounds. I was the weight of dudes who were like 6'2". I was ripping my clothes, ripping the crotch of my pants. I had holes in all my underwear. I had holes in the armpits of my favorite t-shirts because of all the friction between my arms and inner thighs and whatnot. Just wearing my clothes out. Right? Putting holes in all my favorite clothes. My mom was looking at me crazy. And she would say, hey, you want to know what your cholesterol is? Let me check your blood pressure. Let me check your blood pressure. Let me check your pulse. She would start want to check all my vitals and stuff. She'd look at me like I want to die of a heart attack. She would look at me like I had heart disease. She would look at me like I was obese with diabetes and all of this. I'm like, I was stop. Making me nervous, right? Stress. You're more likely to lose the stress. You lose the muscle as a result of stress. If you train even just as little as once or twice a week, you train 30 to 60 minutes a week, full body, you will retain all the muscle you have. Now, if you skip enough workouts, you just ain't doing no resistance training, you're more likely to lose muscle from that. People are more likely to lose muscle from just not training at all. Right? If you train once like every 4 days, you won't really lose any muscle. Now, during a fast, you may lose some muscle volume, but not necessarily muscle mass. You put the muscle volume back on when you eat the next day. Right? So this is my jam, right? I'm talking about stress management. Everything comes down to stress management. There are some things you got to worry about, because if you do a fast in an abusive way, you don't really prep for it well. You just don't perform the fast very well, so it makes it harder on you. Then, I give you an example. During your fast, you don't need to do all kind of intense workout. You don't need to do long cardio. You'd be like, well, if I do a ton of cardio during my fasts, I'll drop weight quicker. In the beginning, maybe, kind of, but that don't work for very long because your body starts revolting. It's the underpaid worker thing. Your body's like, you ain't paying me enough to do all of this. Right? Because that's the stress management nerfs your ability to drop body fat. Your body will fight you. You will quit. It's one of the trappings of being a human being. It's human physiology. You run your body hard enough, you quit. Because if you don't, you end up dropping dead of a heart attack or something, or having a stroke. Right? Pressure busts pipes. Well, that stress, something will quit. Either you do or something will. Right? People mess around and they run themselves ragged. They tear an ACL or something like this. Or you know, they rip a bursa or something like that, and that puts them out of their workouts because they didn't quit. This is what I'm saying, right? The injuries, you either get an injury or you just start skipping days in the gym. You start binge eating. Something breaks, right? That stress, something's going to give out from that stress. It's a matter of time. The longer you run it, the more of a risk you get. When you do a fast, that is a time of reflection. That's a time to have a seat, right? Do some mobility, work on your flexibility, your movement hygiene. Catch up on some reading, get organized, meal prep, do some cleaning, right? Work on the other things. Because when you don't have to eat, you have like extra time to do other stuff because you ain't eating. You can meditate, you can read, there's all these other things. You can go out for a walk, you can sit in the woods, you can sit by a body of water and do deep breathing exercise, all this kind of stuff. You can get more work done and all that type of stuff. So a fast it gives you space and opportunity to do things that you were otherwise neglecting. However, It's a completely different set of circumstances if you have that 24 or 36-hour fast, but then you're not well fed on your eating days. You need both together. You can't fast one day and then be all underfed the next. You can't do that because the stress pile up too fast. You done did this long, hard fast, and then you've earned the ability to have all this other food from abstaining, and then you don't eat all the other food. So you're just going hungry, and then you be all hungry and then go straight into a fast, hungry and miserable. So the next one ends up being harder than the first one. Right? That's not a good setup. It's a bad setup. You want a good setup. There's some things that I do want to fast. I talk about the behavioral stuff, like a fast is a way to decompress. Spend more time outside, whether it's hot or cold. Spend more time outside. You get outdoors, get some fresh air, get out in nature. It's one of the best things to do. You get out in nature. Oh, man. You don't want to go home. Well, at least for me personally. I'll do all my coaching calls and everything like that, just sitting outside. Right? I'll do my coaching calls outside and people see me outside. They're like, oh my God, where are you? They get all close. Wow, where is that? They're leaning all up into the screen. I'll be on calls with some of y'all outside and I'll see the inside of your nostrils. You'll be so close up to the screen. Looking around. We love the outdoors. During a fast, water, herbs, and there are some supplements. Not a lot of supplements. There's a couple. Going back to the hormone thing and the stress management thing, there's a few. Okay? Number one, vitamin D3. You do this every day, habitually, at least 5,000 IUs. Game changer. Number two, magnesium. Right? It would either be, for me, is magnesium biglycinate or magnesium malate. Magnesium biglycinate is like my number one because that's the stress manager. That's where the stress management is right there, that magnesium biglycinate. Number three, zinc. Zinc picolinate. These three together, okay? Foundational supplements. If you want to improve blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, fat metabolism, muscle growth, hormonal balance, you want to reverse PCOS, right? Whatever. Those right there, those three. Big deal. The vitamin D, that helps to regulate your cortisol, that helps to strengthen your immune system, improve gut health, and improves muscle protein synthesis, makes it easier to grow muscle. You need it in order to have adequate levels of sex hormones. There's testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone, right? That's needed to regulate the rate of aromatization for testosterone. So low vitamin D for men will cause you to have low testosterone, low free testosterone, high estrogen. And for women, it's the opposite. Low vitamin D for women will drive down your progesterone, throw your estrogen up way too high, which runs you into the risk of leading into an earlier menopause and a rougher menopause, where that menopause is just doing the most, right? You just be hot and frustrated and you feel like everything you eat gets stored in fat cells, right? You drink water and gain fat or you feel like it and you just be mad, right? Hot, angry, and frustrated. The vitamin D is also needed for stem cell production. And those stem cells are needed to repair gut health, to repair your connective tissues, to repair vital organ tissues. It's needed for for angiogenesis, the formation of new blood vessels. Right? It's needed for adequate nervous system recovery and nervous system function. It's needed for brain chemistry. It's needed for dopamine, serotonin, all of that. Right? You need that vitamin D in order to have a healthy balance of your HPA axis, your hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal axis. Right? Because that governs your thyroid. So you don't have too low of an output or too high of an output. Vitamin D is a huge deal. It's needed for your kidney health, your liver, all that. You got low vitamin D, your triglycerides be all high, LDL cholesterol be all high, HDL be low, liver enzymes be all high. It's just craziness, right? Blood pressure be up. All from low vitamin D. Vitamin D is a real big deal. Magnesium. Magnesium is involved in every enzymatic and hormonal process that happens in your body. Magnesium is in everything. Magnesium was one of those key electrolytes that get stored inside your cells. Right? The primary electrolytes that get stored inside your cells are magnesium and potassium. Right? And then the primary electrolytes that that maintain the environment outside your cells, you get your sodium and chloride. Right? So you need a good balance of everything, but inside your cells, you get a little bit of deprivation of that magnesium, especially when you've been eating, the standard American diet and you've been really getting run down with the stress. Bills, taxes, kids, dating, marriage, bills, work, right? Weight gain, weight loss, struggling with weight loss, all type of stuff. Just battles, right? You get older, you go through all these battles, you just get weighed down. Right? Every Instacart order, run your pressure up, run your cortisol up, make you more insulin resistant. Every bill you pay, right? And that magnesium get run down. You get bad news, it run your magnesium down. It reduced them vitamin D levels, no joke. And the winter times come and you spend way too much time indoors in the winter time, that'll really run your vitamin D down. And then you get the recession of melanin, and that's dangerous stuff, right? We're going into summertime. It's time to brown up, folks. It's time to tan up. It's time to brown up. We got to redeploy that melanin, right? Melanin is a superpower. Right? It's time to get brown. Time to get dark and shiny, right? Get glazed and brown. Right. Spread that castor oil on, that shea butter, whatever you got to do, and get out there. That magnesium is necessary for hydration, maintaining adequate hydration levels, in combination with potassium. Right? So you need a diet that's abundant in potassium. You do not have to supplement with potassium, but magnesium. It would be a good idea to supplement with magnesium, at least like 210 milligrams a day. It don't have to be a whole lot. Following my dietary recommendations, where you're having a fruit-based diet, you're already getting a ton of potassium anyway. You get like 100% of your potassium before 12 noon. All right. The magnesium also, when you consume higher doses of vitamin D, the magnesium improves the conversion rate of vitamin D3 to D25 hydroxy. Right? Because that vitamin D, there is a conversion that takes place inside your body, whether you're getting sun exposure or whatever the case is, right? That magnesium is needed for adequate conversion of that vitamin D synthesis. So that's why I'm a big fan, too, of supplementing with the magnesium. Glycine, it's chelated with glycine. Glycine has very protective effects of your liver. Right? So a lot of people got liver issues. struggling to drop body fat, struggling with your blood pressure, struggling with cholesterol, right? There's liver issues, low stomach acid, low bile production, right? So that glycine really helps with things like that. B complex, vitamin B complex, a nice potent liquid B complex. That right there, I would say, and I'm starting to change my position on this, where I think that anybody who's struggling metabolically and who've been struggling metabolically for a long time with things like weight loss, muscle building, aging, things like that, mental health, not only should you really be getting into that vitamin D and that magnesium, but also the B complex. And ideally, your B complex should contain a high dosage of thiamine. Typically, vitamin B complex, the type of thiamine it contains is HCl, right? But yeah, so that's a big deal. Okay, all of your B vitamins, really. B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B9, B12. All right. There's a particular, and you can go actually to my site and go into the Tribe shop. I have a liquid B complex up. That's the one that I use. Right, it's got that methylcobalamin, right, that vitamin B12. You know, it tastes good. 10 milliliters of liquid vitamin B. That's my jam. And for me personally, I only do it like maybe like twice a week or something like this. Right? That's good stuff. Just anything that comes in like a good liquid form, that's a good way to go, because you can get tired of swallowing capsules. Zinc. A good supplementation of zinc is like around 15 to 30 milligrams of zinc picolinate, right? If you are doing like a very copper-rich diet, like a high raw, if you're doing like a high raw diet, right, an abundance of raw leafy greens and fruits and things like that, you will get a ton of copper. With the diet plans that I make, I mean, people are getting like 500%, 500, 600 something percent of copper, right? Lentils, very rich in copper. Your leafy greens, tremendously rich in copper. Kiwis, oh Lord, with the copper. Grapes, cucumber, I mean, just incredibly rich in copper. Right? Hemp seeds, bananas, the watermelon. Oh, watermelon is crazy rich in copper. Oh, it's so good. So you can do high dosages of zinc and you don't really have any negative effects from it because your diet is so rich in copper. So you can get up there. That zinc is so important for having a strong immune system. Oh man, if you want to improve your immunity, zinc supplementation. If you want to improve your sleep quality at night, zinc combined with magnesium serves as a sleep aid. Huge deal. Zinc also gets stored to a greater degree in your pancreas. Zinc is a foundational mineral needed for your pancreas to synthesize insulin. So to increase insulin output and increase insulin sensitivity and pancreatic function as far as your beta cells and your pancreas are concerned, zinc supplementation, highly beneficial. And when you combine that with vitamin D supplementation, even with dosages upwards of like 10,000 IUs, that will provide you with the stem cells needed, where if you need to increase the amount of beta cell production in your pancreas, that's a good shot at doing it. You'd have to do it over a prolonged period of time because we're talking about rejuvenating an organ like the pancreas. That don't really particularly happen overnight. It can take years. But you will see progress with that kind of strategy. Those are like the key ones for me. I try not to go too crazy with the supplementation, especially during a fast, because you don't want to soften your fast up too much. You can soften the fast up. The more you soften the fast, the less beneficial it is. It's more sustainable when it's softer, but it's not as potent. It takes you longer to get into autophagy. Um, as far as amino acids go, I don't really supplement with amino acids. I don't really recommend that a whole lot. There's a few. As far as amino acid supplementation, it's typically for me going to be citrulline malate, taurine, glutamine. Glutamine for me more so is the thing for people with gut health issues. You can do that like on your eating days, right? Mainly. But as far as a fast, you don't really need to do glutamine during a fast necessarily. It could be beneficial, but not necessarily. I'd rather do that on eating days. But taurine. We got to talk about taurine. Taurine is a game changer for a fast. It makes a fast way easier to do. Taurine is some good stuff. They put taurine in like every energy drink because taurine is like adding Christmas lights to a Christmas tree. Taurine lights your nervous system and your brain up. Right? Taurine is like if you got like a USB cable with the supercharging. You ever get like a really good USB cable, you plug your phone in, and your phone be at like 5% battery life, you plug it in, and it's like 8 minutes till it's fully charged. You go, what the hell? What kind of cable is this? That's taurine. Taurine is real close to like crack or like an upper. Taurine turn you into Rambo. Taurine make you start looking at guns to buy so you can go to a shooting range and start practicing and stuff. Taurine to have you practicing throwing hatchets or whatever. You don't have to do violent stuff. I'm just saying, but taurine kind of like, create some violent energy inside your body. I say violent. I mean violent in the way like a big wave is on the ocean. I don't mean violent like going out and harming people. I'm not talking about that. That I'm talking about is I'm talking about violent energy, like a storm in your body. So it's electrical current, right? You ever watch Dragon Ball Z? Does anybody ever watch Dragon Ball Z? Dragon Ball Z was like one of these animes I used to watch as a kid. I've never seen a show with more yelling in it. There's a lot of yelling in Dragon Ball Z. I was a little kid. I was so excited. Goku yelling. Ah! Hair growing, turning gold, eyes changing colors, the earth shaking. There's all these colors, and he's yelling. I wonder how the voice actor felt for Dragon Ball Z. Yeah! Can you imagine? You got to go to work as a voice actor and just yell into a microphone? All right, so your character's going to be powering up for about like a good 15 minutes of the show. Like 15 minutes of the show. The show's 23 minutes. When you subtract the commercials, doesn't that seem like a lot? Hey, that's just how it is. 15 minutes, just yelling. Veins popping out everywhere, muscles all bulging and stuff. That's taurine. At least to me. You may hear me say that and be like, I don't want to take taurines. I don't want to be yelling like that. I'm a pretty chill person. Just subtract the yell. I'm being a little hyperbolic. But taurine, what it does is it speeds up lipolysis. Speeds up fat metabolism. Right? So you get deeper into the fast quicker. You get all the benefits of the fast faster. Right? Taurine expedites the fast. Right? If you're diabetic, you take taurine, it drops your blood sugar. It drops your blood pressure. You get more mental energy. You get dialed in. Your vision improves. Taurine can literally improve your vision. And yes, I'm wearing glasses, but I said what I said. Right? I got astigmatism. My taurine don't do magic. Right? One of my eyes is misshapen and the rest of my other eyes is different. I got misshapen eyes. I got one eye and the rest of my other vision of my eye. They don't cooperate. But taurine, it improves your brain health and reduces the rate of aging. If you wanted to reduce the likelihood of the development of dementia and Alzheimer's, or you just want to straight up prevent dementia and Alzheimer's, taurine is a key element that'll get you there. You want to improve your vascular health, taurine to get you there. You want to improve your blood pressure, taurine to get you there. You want to improve your heart health, you got some heart issues, taurine. Taurine, if you've got weird electrical issues going on with your heart and you need like a steady, more regulation of your heart, taurine can probably get you there. I say probably because I can't say for sure because it depends on person to person. I'm seeing data and it's giving me mixed signals. It's possible, but it depends on person, right? And before I move any further, when I'm talking about taurine and taking taurine, I'm talking about anywhere between 2 and 6 grams a day. You can do upwards of 10 grams a day of taurine. I've seen studies where it's up to 10 grams. Taurine is like the max I've seen with taurine supplementation, like 10 grams. I typically don't recommend people to go to 10 grams. I don't really ever recommend people take the upper dosage of pretty much anything. You can. I just, safety first in my opinion. That's just me. I gotta be responsible, right? But yeah, taurine is phenomenal, right? I would definitely recommend it for people with high blood pressure, people who are diabetics, people with kidney disease, fatty liver disease, things like that. There is a warning about taurine when it comes to kidney disease. I don't know how legit that is. I wouldn't do a high dosage of taurine with kidney disease. I think like a good 2 grams a day, maybe 4 grams a day, depending on the person. But taurine is highly beneficial. Taurine what doesn't taurine do? Damn. Taurine is just natural medicine. And people with metabolic issues tend to have a taurine deficiency. Or at least according to the data that I'm seeing. High blood pressure, diabetes, fatty liver disease, kidney disease, obesity, underactive or overactive thyroid, things like this. Typically, there's some sort of taurine deficiency to one degree or another. Right? Taurine is, even with things like low libido, you got things like vaginal dryness, right? Perimenopause, premenopause, postmenopause. You may want to consider taurine. Taurine, there are studies that shows that taurine improves estrogen production and secretion in the ovaries and testosterone production from the testes. Right? So taurine can improve sex hormone synthesis and output. In men, taurine helps to reduce the rate of aromatization of testosterone and improves free testosterone and increases the amount of swimmers, right? So it increases spermatogenesis, the formation of new sperm, right? So if you want to be a daddy, you need some extra recruitment for your swimmers, right? To increase the daddy rate. You want to be a daddy? Taurine. It's a good argument for it. And women, right? Need a little extra natural lubricant. You want to be a mommy? Better hormonal profile? Taurine. All right? Got to get that libido up, right? You got to get ready. Certain extracurricular activities, right? You want to put your foot in it. Taurine. Also, taurine increases growth hormone indirectly, but definitely helps because it brings down things like cortisol, lowers your stress, right? So that reduces aromatization. It reduces what's that called? Why am I blanking? Anyway, yeah, increases angiogenesis, the formation of new blood vessels, right? Helps to repair and heal your nervous system. Right? So when it comes to muscle growth, that requires strong muscle contractions. So your nervous system has to be healed and all the way dialed in so you can create a strong enough stimulus for muscle growth. And then to be able to recover in as quick of a time as possible, right? So that you can really increase that muscle mass. So taurine helps with that. Taurine makes you more resistant and more resilient to stress, mental, emotional, as well as physical stress. If you battle anxiety and depression, taurine can help with that. All right. So yeah, taurine is an all-star player. I'm a big fan of taurine. You want to optimize your hormonal profile, taurine is it. You want to improve your thyroid health, thyroid hormone balance, taurine also, again. It's a big deal. Also, and this is the last, because I don't want to make this whole video about taurine. Taurine helps with the increase in secretion of bile from your liver, right? So taurine helps to decongest your liver, increase bile output, right, which has knock-on effects to improve your gallbladder health and digestion. So if you got low stomach acid, taurine. You want to improve digestion? Taurine. Right? So if you've been dealing with, you've been gassy and bloated and gassy, right? You eat and your gut's like, right? Taurine. All right, so I'll leave that there. So those are like the key ones during a fast. And I'd probably say like citrulline malate, right? Anywhere from 3 to 9 grams a day. Right? And citrulline malate basically is citrulline combined with malic acid. And malic acid improves the absorption rate of the citrulline. Citrulline is a precursor to arginine. Okay? Arginine increases nitric oxide. So when you increase nitric oxide in the body, that reduces stress, improves training performance, blood oxygenation, muscle growth, hydration of your lungs, better mental health, libido, sex hormone profile, all that kind of stuff. Now you may say to me, well, I take arginine. What about arginine? Can I take arginine? I mean, if citrulline just is a precursor to create more arginine, what about you just take the arginine? Arginine basically gets destroyed in the digestive process. So when you ingest arginine, basically your body, you don't really absorb it to any significant degree. It gets destroyed in the digestive process. Doesn't get absorbed into your bloodstream. That's why. Citrulline, however, is a different ballgame. All right, so there's that. Ooh, and I will say this too, and I'm going back to taurine. I got to say this one more time. Taurine is also, there's 2 things I want to say about taurine. There's another 2 things I want to say about taurine. I've been reading a lot on it. What's that called? DHT, right? The increase in testosterone leads to an increase in DHT to varying degrees. DHT can run into or lead to thinning and losing of your hair. Balding, right? Just handfuls of hair coming out. So taurine can be beneficial for hair growth because it reduces the conversion of DHT. All right, so people have been asking me about hair. So I wanted to make sure I mention that. Also, taurine can be a good alternative to, what's that called? What's that? It's a something inhibitor. What is that? What is that called? It's on the I'm blanking on it now. It's the thing that Cialis and all of that is. You know, the ED pills. What's that called? It's a something inhibitor. What's that thing? What's that called? This is bothering me. I hate when I blank out and I forget things. I got a PDE5 inhibitor. Okay. I had to look that up real quick. I'm like, wow, I can't remember what that is. PDE5 inhibitor. Basically, all of these like erectile dysfunction pills, right? These pills, you know, you take them in order to brick up, right? So you can get ready, right? Tony Baker likes to refer to it as being robust. Basically, taurine is like a natural PDE5 inhibitor. Right? And basically, this leads to greater sexual as well as penile health. So reduces things like fibrosis, which is damage to the vascular tissues of the penis. Right? Which you can also, you can actually get some shrinkage and a little bit of penile loss. Right? You can get a bit of a retraction. Okay, so you get some shrinkage going on if you're going through enough stress. Fellas, you gotta be careful. You don't want stress shrinking your unit up. You don't want that. Right? Getting skinny pullbacks. You don't want that. So basically taurine is another reason. You should have a more of a hydrating diet, more of a, you know, citrulline, vitamin C, iron, copper rich diet. Right? Really get your carbohydrates in, because when you're well carbed up, really maximizing carbohydrate intake on your eating days leads to a better erectile health. I said erectile health also, right? And a lot of guys over here suffering in silence and not saying nothing about it. Okay, so I'm gonna say something. All right, we don't have to suffer in silence. All right, so speaking to the fellas, there are options. There are natural options. All right, and citrulline and taurine combined do wonders for reversing these kind of issues, right? What else do I want to say about fasting? I think I pretty much covered that. So basically, with the fasting, you don't really have to worry about muscle loss if you're managing your stress well. So stress management. Okay, poor stress management is the thing that'll kill your muscle growth and all that type of stuff. Not fasting. Fasting can actually serve as a setup to improve your metabolic health and reduce stress to actually make it easier for you to build muscle mass in the future when you break the fast. All right. How did I do on time? All right, there we go. Not bad. Pretty good on time. We did it, y'all. We did good on the time here. So I'm gonna let y'all get a good night's rest. Dropped a lot of good information on y'all today. All right. Hit the link in my bio to book a call with me. You know what I'm saying? Or become a tribe member. I also do streams like this on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern as well. All right, so I do members exclusive live streams and things like that. Hit the like button. Like the stream if you like the stream, right? Like, share, and sub if you aren't already a sub to the channel. All right. What is it I want to say? There's one more thing I want to say. Oh, hold on one second. Let me check to see where the number's at now. I got to catch up with y'all on these comments, too. What did we do? Did we do it? Yeah, we did it. So basically, over the weekend, all right, the YouTube channel for Tribe by Noir has reached and surpassed 20,000 subs. All right, we did it. We've reached and surpassed 20,000. We're currently at 20,130 subs. So I appreciate y'all rocking with me. You know what I'm saying? Tuning into the streams, making it a fun Monday night. Appreciate y'all. And yeah, we're going to keep going, right? Hit that next milestone. What should the next milestone be? 40 or 50,000? I don't know. Y'all let me know. Oh, he said so. The taurine gives you Super Saiyan energy. That's how I feel. I had a fair amount of taurine today. Could you tell? Could y'all tell? Blood cancer from those energy drinks with taurine. Blood cancer from those energy drinks with taurine. Is that a question or a statement or what? I don't know. They put taurine in the energy drinks. I wouldn't say that taurine causes blood cancer, if that's what you're referring to. Let's see. Any tips on preventing loose stool from magnesium? It depends on the type of magnesium you're taking. You're probably taking, if I had to guess, you're taking magnesium citrate. Magnesium citrate basically rushes water to your colon, right? Really hydrates the colon and loosens the bowels up. So magnesium citrate actually is used as like a natural laxative. So what kind of magnesium? Either going to be magnesium malate or magnesium glycinate. Those are like my top two go-tos. I experienced the bloating due to supplements. Do you have any advice? It depends on what supplements you're taking that you're experiencing the bloating from. So yeah, that's like, you know, it kind of varies. I would be interested in knowing a bit more about that because I would have to ask you quite a few gut health issues. Camille, she said, you're hilarious. Y'all don't know. I mean, I got a little bit of a comedic background. As a tool for healing and resetting the microbiome. What's that? I probably got to scroll up a little bit more. What do you think of the idea of long 24 to 36 hour fasts every couple of months? You could. I don't know how effective it's going to be if you do it like once every couple of months. I would imagine there would be some benefit to it. I don't know to what degree. I would imagine it would be to a pretty marginal degree. Right. Still beneficial nonetheless. I don't know if it's really necessarily a game changer, but there's some benefit from it. Is high sodium in a diet truly bad? It depends on what you qualify as high sodium, and it depends on your overall food volume and in relation to water and potassium intake. Right? So like I don't really have any. I never tell people to cut sodium out of their diet. I'm not like a crusader against sodium in a diet. Sodium is extremely beneficial. My man John Green in here. What's going on? Good to see you in here. Shouting out the fam, showing love. Appreciate you. What is your advice for doing a 24-hour fast reset in relation to timing of that fast and what you eat afterwards? Well, if you do like a long fast, like so for if you do a 24-hour fast, you're having dinner, right? So if you do a 24-hour fast, you're gonna have more of like a warm, savory meal, or you can do more of like a raw salad where you're getting all your healthy fats in, avocados, nuts and seeds, leafy greens, cucumber, diced onion, bell pepper, that kind of thing, sprouts, right? Things like that. So you can do either or. If you're doing a 36-hour fast, basically you're going the whole day without eating. You're going to bed on an empty stomach. You're waking up and having a meal in the morning. Typically should be more of a water-rich meal, right? Where you're eating like 2 to 3 pounds of melon, watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, all that kind of stuff, right? You can crush a few mangoes. That's another option. All right, so there's a few things you can do. Harry said, I would say, let me check your pressure. Yeah, you was looking at me. I saw you looking at your worry in your face. You looked at me worry. You made me worry. You looking at me. I'm like, am I going to die? Why should you look at me like that? I was eating crazy too when you was asking me that. That was like before I was plant-based. That was back when I was crushing them Domino's pizzas and eating Chinese food and stuff. I was living wrong. I was living in sin. Living in sin. Anita, you said you telling all your business? Yeah, I'm real transparent with y'all. Let me tell you, that's right. Yeah, I worked Burger King. Yeah, they try to have me doing that plantation work. Yeah, that's true. That's right. I was a regular person going through regular people's struggles, doing regular people stuff, having regular people problems. I was a regular dude. That's right. Big shout out to you. Glad I'm raw vegan. There you go. Yeah. What do you use on your hair? So for me, what I put in my hair is castor oil and lavender oil. So I put some lavender oil in my palm, and then I add a couple drops of lavender oil, and then I just I just massage it into my hair when I get out the shower. That's typically what I do. All right, so I like to moisten up my hair a little bit, get it a little damp after the shower. Then I dry it off a little bit, or I get the excess water out, and then I apply the oil. Apply the oil. Which specific zinc do you recommend? Zinc picolinate. What do you recommend for someone with left temporal epilepsy? You know, we're going to go back to taurine again. Taurine has been shown to be very promising for reducing epilepsy as far as the seizures are concerned. All right. So there's studies on taurine and epilepsy as well. All right. Well, I'm not really that well versed on epilepsy, so I have a limited knowledge base on something like that. So I would definitely have to do a lot more research. But from what I have read, that's one of those things. All right. Oh, you said I'm going to start on that taurine soon. Yeah, actually, taurine may really benefit you, Ricardo. I was just thinking about this too. I was gonna reach out to you and tell you about that also, because that can help with the fatigue and things like that. All right. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long. I'm gonna be disciplined. I started to get a little carried away. I started to get a little distracted. So I'm gonna tighten up. Appreciate y'all for tuning into the Monday Night Raw. I'm gonna catch y'all next Monday. And for those of you who are tribe members, I will see you on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. All right. So having said that, I'll catch y'all in the next one.